Hello everyone, in this video I'd like to talk a little bit about philosophy of piano teaching and how to communicate effectively in your teaching. Now, as a pianist, I spend a lot of time practicing, obviously, and also during my school years, a lot of time was spent on practicing, owning my craft, right, polishing songs, performing in concerts and things like that. I spent a lot of time at learning, history and theory and, all sort of things, writing papers. Actually, that was my favorite. But after, you graduated, you had to face the fact that you need to work. And performing, realistically, is not going to be, the only source of income as a pianist. A lot of people would do a lot of piano accompanying, right? So that's a good source of income. That would be like big part of the performing. You can obviously perform, but it's hard to find a lot of performing work that pays enough, decent. So a lot of people will actually teach. Now, some people are reluctant to teach because that's just because they need to teach. They need to. For me, I actually chose to teach, and I actually gave up on playing for a while because I found out my passion was in teaching. I still love playing piano, but the teaching part is very important to me. I realized that passing on the knowledge and helping people succeed at the piano is a very important responsibility for me. And also because I have some great teacher in the past, and I felt like, I wanted to be that teacher that I never had when I was younger. I had some good teacher, later on, but I really wish that I had a better teacher growing up and show me all these things that I could do and learn all these techniques and the basics I could have known early on, so I didn't have to struggle later. So I chose to start teaching, and then I found that there are not a lot of courses out there teach you how to teach and also how to build a studio, right? Because it seems like naturally, because you're a pianist, so you know how to teach. Wrong, because playing the piano is one thing, right? You communicate with people through the playing, but teaching is you communicate with people through speech, right? You can demonstrate, but communicating with words is the most important thing at any kind of teaching, right? Even the piano teaching. So I find a lot of people struggle to do that, and I think at the beginning I was not so sure how to approach that, and also how I can find my way in the teaching world. Because you see a lot of people doing the same thing, and I always try to find a different way to teach. A lot of people focus on drilling students pieces and then prepare for exams every year. I find that not very effective in terms of helping students to learn and actually understanding the music or how to play or perform effectively, because drilling the songs is not enough, right? You don't have a comprehensive musicianship because you just spend time on working on polishing 3 pieces a year. But I digress. For me also, a lot of older style teachers that I encountered, they like to use this negative reinforcement thing, right? They yell at the student, or they're mean to the student, so they think that way student will feel bad, and then they will work on the pieces and practice better. For me, that is just wrong. For me, I like to use positive reinforcement. I like to encourage students to be successful, right? So I will point out the things that they do well. When I see it immediately, I say, hey, this is really good. How did you do it, right? Because you want to replicate. You don't want to keep reminding them, oh, you need to do this, you do this. That's why sometimes, the student come back and they're like, oh, hey, I told you already. How come you didn't do it, right? Because you need to train them to be self-aware, right? You have to train them to the point that they have the self-discipline to practice. Even if you're not watching them, you don't have to remind them. They come back and practice. And that's what I have with my students these days. It's just amazing every time they come back and they practice more. I say, oh, you just do this part. And then they come back, oh, I did these. And then they memorize the piece. It's just amazing. I didn't even asked you to do this? But because they are so eager to learn, right? They love playing the piano, and I see the excitement, the joy, the sparkle in their eyes. Are like, oh, I didn't do this, it's amazing. So they feel like comfortable and confident at the piano, and because of that's the positive drive that moves them forward. They're like, oh, I want to do more. I want to do more. It's fun for them. It's really like playing the piano, not like dragging themselves to get the piano. I don't do this chore thing. Like, I don't want them to do that. Of course, it's not always like sparkles and unicorns. It's not always like, oh, so fun every time I go practice. No, I mean, I've been practicing like many years. I know there are times like, I really don't want to go to practice. That happens. I also tell my student that, it's normal. But it's okay. There are times that, oh, maybe I need to take a little break, and I don't practice for a day or 2 or 3 days, whatever. Take a break and then you go back, and it's fine. And also, like when the student first started as a beginner, they're all excited, right? Oh, I'm good at this, right? And then after a while, things get harder, right? Oh, the song's getting harder, and to read like 2 claps, and the coordination, the rhythm, and everything. And then they start to like, oh, this is too hard. They want to give up. So that is the time that you need to encourage them. Hey, you look at this, right? It is getting harder. Why? Because you are improving, right? You're learning. That's why it's getting harder. So now we have to make the steps to get to that point. Okay, how do we process these things, right? How do we practice? How do we break it down to smaller tasks so you can work on this? And so there's a routine like in the books that we have, the beginner books. There are steps in each lesson, like how to practice, right? The plans in this. Okay, you need to practice this 5 times, and then this 5 times. So there's already a plan in each lesson for students to follow. Because one of the most important things that I find in successful learning is knowing how to practice, right? Even sometimes when, they're like transfer students, like the older students, teenage students, or adult students, they don't know how to practice because they never learn how to have effective or creative practice routine, right? You cannot practice the same way if this doesn't work. You have to look at, okay, this doesn't work, why? You have to dissect, you have to look deeply, ask yourself questions. There's a lot of question asking when you're practicing, because okay, this doesn't work. Instead of this is not gonna work, I'm not gonna practice anymore because I suck and whatever. You're gonna ask, hey, what is happening, right? Maybe there's something wrong with my technique. Maybe there's something with my rhythm. Maybe something with the pulse. Maybe I'm not actually reading it, right. The course, I don't understand the structure, right? You need to figure out what's happening, why. So then you work on the different aspect of things, right? You have maybe 10 things you want to work on. Pick the first 3 most important things. You work on that, and then move on to the next thing. So that's very important. So these are all the things you can teach. And so I find a lot of teachers, they don't really know how to do that effectively. So that's very important. So in our piano teacher training course, not only we talk about all these things, right? Also we talk about how to communicate effectively, how to teach different kind of students, and also using our books to help you, to guide you. Because in our books, instead of having multiple books for the same level, we have one book for everything. Of course, you can add extra materials. Sometimes I have some duet books that we add into the fun of things, or they learn songs that's outside of book. That is fine. But with each book, we already have everything, the basic things that you need. You have technique, you have songs, you have scales, you have oral training, you have sight reading, you have theory, you have creative writing. Composition and improvisation. Everything is in there. Singing, So one book, you have everything. And we also have the audio, the CD, so you can listen. The students can go home and listen to a song, because listening to a song is very important, right? It helps you get the rhythm, hearing how the songs sound like, right? So these are the very important things. So we have one book for each level, and then we have 4 books for the beginner course. So these are very effective tools for especially aspiring piano teachers who don't know how to get started, right? Or you want a more effective system. And this is the course for you. This is the course book system for you. So you want to learn more about the course books and more about on the effective teaching You can watch it in the next video, and also go to Teachable platform, and we have all the courses information for you. You can also follow us on the YouTube channel here and the Facebook. We always have more information for you on the piano teaching, music teaching in general, and the piano performance and technique.